Today on the Tearsheet Podcast.
And some businesses were kind of more ready for the moment than others. But I would say, some of the needs right away were just, help me stay in business, help me continue to take payments remotely. I need mobile devices, and I just need to be able to keep transacting. For some of the immediate needs, definitely, capital, access to cash flows. And then I think what we're seeing more and more was kind of a secondary need was now help me fight this new risk and new, kind of fraud and attack vectors that I'm seeing as I'm shifting and changing my business.
Welcome to the Tearsheet Podcast. I'm Zack Miller. SMBs have taken it on the chin during this crisis. Nicole Jass, Senior Vice President of Small Business and Fraud Products at FIS, joins us to discuss how small business needs have changed and how FIS has responded with products and an evolving product roadmap. The payments technology firm has rolled out upgrades and new products for customers over the past couple of months, and Nicole checks in to describe how they're using them. Nicole Jass is my guest today on the Tearsheet Podcast. What could you do with better real-time consumer data? All data aggregation from Fiserv enables access to consumer permission data from over 18,000 sources. Lenders, advisors, fintech firms, and financial institutions can turn this data into actionable insight for their customers. Go to fiserv.com/alldata to learn more.
Hi, I'm Nicole Jass. I lead product for FIS, for our Merchant Solutions group, really focusing on all the merchants that we process for and the partners that we serve in North America, as well as internationally our small businesses and the products that we serve them through.
Great. And can you tell us a little bit about your career trajectory and how you got to this point?
Sure. Yeah. No, it's a fun one and definitely meandered like many and most careers. I started off as an engineer, an optical engineer, and was really figuring out how to get light out of lighting fixtures. And then took a sharp turn on my career path as I worked with a co-founder and started a company actually in the ad tech space. So jumped completely out and really the connection point was more of my shopping background and engineering background, but got into ad tech, worked for about 10 years helping marketers. We were putting essentially tags called snap tags onto packaging, point of sale, any kind of marketing materials. Consumers could take a picture, snap the tag, get promotions, get coupons, get offers, and really putting analytics and data into places that, previously marketers weren't able to see how effective those ads were. So jumped into ad tech, did that for about 10 years. And then as that company was sold to an investor, jumped into payments and joined what was Vantiv at the time. And now through a series of acquisitions, we're now FIS. But I've been with this company now for about 4.5 years. What I really brought forward through this position is really that that tenacity to understand pain points and consumer pain points, merchant pain points, and really excited to have learned and gone head deep, I guess I would say, into payments, into fintech, and now really excited with FIS acquisition, getting to learn beyond just the merchant side of commerce and transactions, but also getting to start learning about the banking side as well.
Interesting. And do you see overlap, at least from a product standpoint, from ad tech to financial technology, fintech?
Yeah, definitely more and more so. The big connection point for me, and actually I came into the company to run and drive data products. And so, the thesis that they said as they brought me in was, I'd been helping marketers understand data and build data where there really wasn't any before to understand media effectiveness and to be able to come in and take a look at transaction data and how transaction data could help the companies that we serve through payments better understand their customers, make connections, both on, driving insights of who customers are and how they spend, but also then quickly connecting that to fraud, right? And understanding what good and bad transactions look like. So to me, kind of some of the weaving has been through data. And I would say, just the need in today's world to understand, how best to leverage the data, where to plug data in, across the different product life cycles is extremely important in ad tech and in fintech.
Interesting. Thanks for that. And let's start with our first question, really. I'm curious to know how FIS's clients, how their needs have changed throughout this crisis, if at all.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely affected, from small to large companies. The impacts are definitely different. Some of them are similar. I mean, the similar impacts have been, as companies big and small have had to adjust to new ways to stay in business. And that includes for us, everything from accepting contactless payments, remote payments, curbside delivery, to really evolving to meet the shopper and the consumer where and how they wanted to transact. And some businesses were kind of more ready for the moment than others. But I would say, some of the needs right away were just, help me stay in business, help me continue to take payments remotely. I need mobile devices, and I just need to be able to keep transacting. Or some of the immediate needs, definitely, capital, access to cash flows. And then I think what we're seeing more and more was kind of a secondary need was, now help me fight this new risk and new, kind of fraud and attack vectors that I'm seeing as I'm shifting and changing my business.
And now, a word from our sponsor. At Tearsheet's Day-to-Day conference, Fiserv's Paul Diegelman drilled down into the future of personal financial management.
Paul, you're talking about PFM 2.0.
It's actually two separate and distinct applications. Liquidity is a huge problem right now. People just don't have time to do things twice. Basically, most parts of the country shut down for COVID. Our PFM user growth was over 20% in the first 2 weeks alone. Underrated, 100%. How could we use AI to impact PFM? I'm up for anything that helps people. And to help people, you need an economic model.
To access the full video from Paul's talk, go to tearsheet.co/speedoflife.
And what was that transition like? I'm interested particularly for small businesses. You mentioned the need to, take contactless immediately. Like, I assume many small businesses weren't prepared for that. Like, how did that transition occur for them? Like, how gracefully were they able to transition or to change?
Yeah, I mean, luckily we have products like our virtual terminal that many businesses have had access to, but it just wasn't the most important thing that you needed to know about, before, call it March or February of this year. And so it was really, kind of our first approach was to give, free access to our virtual terminal, which we have through our IQ portal, and make sure that our merchants knew that it was there and what it could do, that they could essentially accept a remote transaction. So if someone needed to call in and buy something, we had, a large merchant who was really all card present transactions, and all of a sudden need to be able to stand up a call center, take and accept payments, and then ship the products to their customers. And so giving them access to like this virtual terminal allowed them to do that. So that was, like I said, luckily we had products, at the ready. It was mostly just making sure that our customers knew what they were, how to use them, because especially those that were card present previously, they just didn't have the need prior.
I guess your answer is a good segue to my next question. And I'm just curious about how FIS has responded with products and the roadmap. And, I assume in your 2020 plans, you didn't have COVID in the calendar. So how did you guys respond?
Yeah, no, definitely didn't have that in the calendar. I don't think any of us did.
No.
I mean, astoundingly, we were at a huge conference where our company came together and call it mid-February. And just if I think about the course of, 3 to 4 weeks from that, where we were as a company, moving the whole company, to remote and work from home, and then responding to our customers quickly, it was definitely not in the cards that we saw, a month before this. So, I would say that the immediate response, and as we came together as a company, we really looked at what we needed to do in a few phases. We quickly saw that there was going to be a relief, right? That we needed to, and I'll kind of go through what those were, but a relief then, and relief had to be not building, not imagining, not creating, but really, packaging, getting our tools out to our customers quickly, giving them access to them. Then there was going to be a recovery phase whereby we'd have a bit more of an opportunity to essentially build things, repurpose things, and then a rebuild. And rebuild is where we knew that we'd be able to reimagine our roadmaps. And that was, we kind of had to see how, I think when this first happened, we all didn't know, was this a blip or was this going to change everything and more so on a permanent basis? And I think as we've gotten into this, we've really seen that it's going to change a lot of things on a go forward basis, at least for a while to come. And so those are really the three phases that we're still working through. I would say, we really kind of made it through that relief phase, and a lot of the relief efforts were around, like I said, getting our virtual terminal, giving free access to it, partnering with the companies that we had and the great partners that we have, like Card Flight, and putting offers out for swipe simple devices, like those mobile devices, so that, curbside and mobile type use cases, we our customers could pick those kind of devices up quickly, getting, gift card solutions, whether it be online gift or in-store gift, so that customers could keep transacting through gift solutions. We had a partnership with a company called Review Trackers, where they stood up a quick solution so that businesses could go online and essentially in one place have their listings updated in like Google Maps, Apple Maps, to say, here's my business hours, I'm open for curbside, I can do delivery. Because I know that, even as I was as a consumer navigating my way through those first few weeks, you didn't know what was open. You didn't know, what you could go where for. And if I wanted to pick up food, I remember going to the bank and Google said it was open, but I got there and it wasn't. And just so much was unknown. And so tools like that, just that visibility to, if you're making the effort to stay open and offering curbside, you have to have a way to tell people about it. So those are some of the early tools that we did in that relief phase.
Where do you think we are? I guess you spell out nicely those three stages. I mean, it's hard to tell because we're inside the hurricane, but how far along do you think we are?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that, and I guess the answer is going to be varied, right, across different geographies and different verticals and sectors. But my best guess is that we are, pulling out of the relief, and part of what I would define as relief is that, like you said, we just didn't know up from down, and I think we're the fog is starting to clear a bit, starting to understand what the long-term impacts might look like, as stores are opening back up. We're starting to get that real data back on how customers are shopping, how customers want to spend. And so I would say, at least for our company and the way we're thinking about it, we're really getting into that recovery phase and starting to think about how, not just how we help our customers get through this, but how we help our customers, recover and really be ready for, for that recovery phase.
Got it. And so can you talk about you mentioned the virtual terminal, and that was an existing product, obviously, that required getting some of the clients who weren't used to using it. But can you talk about some of the new products you've launched, I guess, into the crisis? Sure.
One of the exciting ones that happened very quickly is on the banking side. We had a product called the real-time lending platform, which, we help banks and have digital lending solutions. But very quickly, we were able to really re-aim and add some functionality to that product to help with the PPP program. And so while it wasn't us selling directly to small businesses, we were able to help thousands of small businesses by having banks leverage this real-time lending platform to be able to serve the payment protection program loans. And so that was done within a matter of weeks. So it was pretty exciting to see that, honestly, within a company this size, be able to pivot that quickly, put a program out that our banks could use. And it was, from a community bank to some of the larger banks that we serve, able to use this solution and react to, there was changing protocols daily, intradaily, with how that program was going to work. So I think that was a really great, quick pivot on a product. Other things that we're doing is
can I just interrupt?
I mentioned. Oh, go ahead.
Where in FIS was that project launched from? And I guess I'm curious to hear how it was structured and who led that sort of initiative.
Yeah, so that's within our banking solutions team.
Mm-hmm.
So FIS has 3 core segments, right? We have merchant solutions, where I sit, we have banking solutions, and then we have capital markets. And so that really came from our banking solutions team. That like I said, there was already an existing lending platform,
Mm-hmm.
but the ability to quickly, take in the requirements of the PPP program and connect into the APIs with the SBA to offer that is what, I would definitely applaud for that team that lead and drove that. And then our sales team took that quickly to the banks that we have relationships with. And the other piece of that, the magic of it, was creating a very quick integration window. We couldn't do like a 3-month integration. It had to be, days to integrate into this platform to be able to make use of it.
Got it. I'm sorry I interrupted as you were talking about the products.
Oh yeah, no, that was a great one, and I had visibility of that as I was asked to lead our task force related to COVID across the company to help us just get product people together, business people together, and quickly establishing that framework of that relief, recover, rebuild, and essentially allowing all of us across all 3 business segments to be collaborating. But that's what gave me personally that visibility, to that product. The other ones on merchant solutions, we're adding enhancements into virtual terminal, allowing more ways to accept remote payments.
Mm-hmm.
We are, another interesting use case is just around SNAP and EBT, and there was movement in the space, I would say, pre-COVID around allowing EBT transactions online, but there was maybe one state up and going with a pilot. But on both sides, on our banking side and our merchant side, we've really made great strides to allow more online use cases for EBT. And I would say that's one that's, we've got quickly pivoted, reprioritized our roadmap, because we knew that was something coming. But now it's so important for anyone using EBT to be able to use, delivery and buy online, pick up at store, buy online and get delivered, or curbside. And so, that's been an effort from both sides to help get, online EBT stood up.
So can we, I guess, switch focus from FIS to your customers and maybe talk about how customers are using some of those new products?
Sure. Yeah. So, like I mentioned, virtual terminal, they're using it for, everything from call center to pick up online. Sorry, pick up when I order online or order over the phone. We've had, some of the other products that I haven't mentioned are, we put out a product called IQ Now, and IQ Now is essentially like our portal where a merchant can log in and see their payments. IQ Now is essentially a mobile version of that. Mm-hmm. So it really puts that insight and the ability to really manage their payments right there on their phone. And how we're seeing customers use that is to do everything from, reconciliation, using the reconciliation tools, but also to fight any kind of chargeback or dispute right there on your phone. You can take a picture of a receipt, do dispute resolution right there on your mobile phone. So that's how we're seeing, customers be able to manage their payments on the go. We're also seeing, so with SMBs, we really go to market through partners, and we have, bank partners, we have independent sales organizations, we have ISVs, we have payment facilitators who, rely on us to service our shared merchants and a lot of, their needs, so we can't just think about what do the merchants need, but also what do these partners need to service these small businesses. And, one of the products there has been like the hosted pay page. So as like our software developer partners are helping their customers and building online and remote opportunities out, hosted pay page has been one of the big products that more and more have been integrating to and leveraging. And that's just basically so that if I'm going online to buy something, we have this hosted page where consumers can check out. Because it's hosted by us, we basically keep them out of any kind of PCI scope, and we see all the information, process the transaction on their behalf. So that's been a really important product for our partners.
Interesting. Got it. I guess in the remaining time, I'm curious to think about what does your roadmap look like going forward now that everything's kind of been jumbled and you've gotten a recovery plan. Like, what are you thinking about future products and priorities?
Yeah, I mean, this really wasn't necessarily, I'd say, a lot of the impacts that we're seeing weren't things that we hadn't already imagined, right? I think it's really an acceleration of trends we've already been seeing of going, from away from card present transactions and into more card not present. Even if it's person present, I would say, I'm at the store, I'm picking something up. And so a lot of our roadmap is unchanged, but maybe accelerated to make sure that, that we have those mobile solutions and, online remote solutions. We have, a fraud product called Fraud Site that we'd already launched for enterprise, and we're just accelerating the delivery to the small business space, just because it's become even more, relevant as more and more transactions shift online and they take on the liability, that we have those fraud tools in place for them. So, I would say aside from a couple of enhancements here and there, a lot of it is just making sure that we're accelerating some of the stuff that was on our roadmap to enable more of these card not present use cases.
Nicole, thanks for joining us on Tearsheet Podcast today. It's a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, thanks a lot.